sides. Turns out it's pretty bad. Soopa Villainz is just this way at the Dim Carnival.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dim Carnival. I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're talking this week about Soopa Villainz Furious, the only album, thankfully, from Soopa Villainz that came out in 2005. And speaking of supervillains, we are recording this episode the day after our fucking nefarious, villainous, treasonous, racist, white supremacist, fear-mongering, narcissist, psychopath, dictator president incited his people to take over the Capitol building and try and pull off a coup. So it's been a fucked up day, it's been a fucked up week, and it's been a fucked up 5 years or so, but it's been an extremely fucked up, couple months since the election. So that's what we're dealing with. So this isn't going to be the most positive podcast episode that you might experience, not just because of what's going on in the world, but also what we had to listen to and what we forced you to perhaps listen to. But you know what? Maybe you liked it. But I'm sure there's going to be some chuckles along the way. But it's been a shitty situation the whole time. I'm sure that there's a lot of people listening who have had to have unpleasant conversations with people in their lives, people in their families that are close to them. And maybe you haven't. Maybe you are big into QAnon and the Wicked Clowns, and you like to listen to this podcast for those reasons.
That's a 3-circle Venn diagram that does not overlap.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's definitely a thing. There's definitely, like, Blue Lives Matter juggalos, I'm sure.
Not that listen to our podcast. That's what
no,
I'm
they don't
saying.
Listen to this podcast.
Right, it's
but
gotta
maybe
be...
maybe it got forwarded to someone.
1 out of 2, or 2 out of 3 we'll get, but not all 3.
QAnon.
I don't know who our QAnon supporter is, but they hate listen to us.
This one's not for you, buddy.
Tell us more about San Francisco, Steve.
You know who our QAnon listener is, Ryan? It's John F. Kennedy Jr.
Right.
Here's
Here's the thing. I'm John F. Kennedy Jr.
Oh shit.
Where I go to the bathroom, we all go to the bathroom.
Ryan, you couldn't be John F. Kennedy Jr. You're too good looking.
Aw, thanks. Thanks, Bill. JFK Jr. was a handsome son of a gun. No pun intended.
He was handsome, like, for the time. You look at pictures of him now, it's like...
Yeah, it's that kind of Blue Bloods thing, right?
He made Elaine jerk off, but,
I mean, here's the thing, is he has all that familial power. So... If you put that in a decent package, it really shines.
I think a lot of his magnetism came from his eyebrows.
Yeah, they are big. Pull you in. So it's been fucked up, and it will continue to get more fucked up as, like, even today, a lot of people are trying to pivot from, a lot of Republicans in Congress are trying to blame this on Antifa, which is
wow.
It's a real tricky lift, because a lot of the people who were there are notorious right-wing people with millions of Twitter followers who are, like, live streaming the whole thing. So it is tricky. I will grant, it is a delicate needle to thread, but they are trying their damnedest. And, Trump put out a statement today saying there's going to be a transition of power. He did not concede. He did not mention Biden by name. So his followers are very split. Half of them are very upset and feel betrayed and feel like he's pathetic and now he's the cuck. And there's a lot of cute followers who are like, up. He said there's going to be a transition to a new administration. This means he's ditching Pence, and he will be in office for another 4 years. There's 13 days left. You never know what's going to happen. And then there's a lot of Republicans in Congress trying to like blame cancel culture and saying that this is woke America's fault. And a lot of people already last night were talking about like, oh, I see. It's okay to riot when it's the left, but now that it's the right, you want the cops to shoot them. A lot of that bullshit. And then Anderson Cooper made an offhand comment about which was, it was a stupid comment because it's not true. So Anderson Cooper was like, these people are just leave the cops let everybody out of the Capitol building to just go about their day. And Anderson Cooper made an offhand comment about like everyone's just going to go back to their Olive Garden and the Holiday Inn Express and go about their lives. And it was a classist comment for sure, especially because most of these people who are like hardcore right-wing Trump supporters are like very much not working class or low class people. They're like CEOs, they're fucking Congress people, and whatever. But now the big talking point for hours on Fox News is, well, what's wrong with Olive Garden? Olive Garden's a fine place. Like Hannity's like, I'll give Olive Garden a plug right now. Eat at Olive Garden. It's great. It's the Italian food of the working man. And Cooper Anderson part of the liberal elite that's lost touch.
Sorry.
It's just everything
so
sucks.
Fucked up.
And I don't know. Everyone's just such a coward, and they're all so full of bullshit. And Ted Cruz is still out here being like, we're just trying to find the people who are responsible for this. It's just awful.
Well,
that chicken fucker.
Well, this episode, by the time this episode goes up, it'll have been like 10 days. And who knows what each day is like a lifetime. So who knows what could have transpired in the prevailing days.
Speaking about chicken fuckers, Colin Powell was on CNN earlier today, and he was like, I don't want to do 25th Amendment. I don't want to impeach anybody. It's just 13 days. What can happen in 13 days? I was like, motherfucker, you saw what happened in like 3 hours yesterday. What the fuck is your problem?
His head explodes.
Yeah, I wish his head would explode.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I know. 13 days does feel like an eternity. It's insane. I've never felt a year pass so fast and each day be so agonizing. Yeah. Each day worse than
It took thousands of domestic terrorists trying to bash their way into joint Congress to knock the planned 6 2-hour objections for electoral votes down to 2.
Yeah.
That's the best we could do.
Pretty
well,
amazing.
At least a couple of people in the House almost got in a fist fight on the floor of the House of Representatives, so that was fun.
We're almost getting civilized.
This is what happens when people stop being polite. Start being the real world, Congress. True story.
With 300 representatives share a house.
A House of Representatives.
Well, it would have been nice. I don't know. I would have liked to have had us listen to a really positive and uplifting kind of album.
Well, but maybe that's not what happened.
It's not what happened. Maybe it's almost better. No, let's have let's listen to a shitty album.
I think it's really apt. I think it's really apropos of the situation. Like Super Villains. Like, let's do it. Should we dive in, or do we have more to say about our rat fuck government?
Yeah, I might have more shit to say. I didn't say anything, but no.
How do they get their tiny dicks in the little rat holes?
It's a tangential Brian Posehn joke.
Fuck her in her little rat butthole. I have a vision problem. All right, let's talk about Furious. It came out in 2005 on August 16th. The album peaked at number 9 on Billboard's top independent albums charts and number 42 on the top R&B and hip-hop albums charts, and it cracked the Billboard Top 100 It was a real dark day for the charts.
These artists have a lot of cachet, Bill.
I feel bad for the hip hop artists whose albums charted below Soopa Villainz Furious.
I mean, it was the Raining Diamonds era.
All right, so this is a super group of people,
and it's a super group.
It's a super group of super villains. It is Isham as Mr. Spade. Wait, shit, I lost it. Okay. It is Isham as Mr. Spade, Violent J as Mr. Diamond, Lavelle, the most super of the super group, as Mr. Hart, and of course, Shaggy Two Dope as Mr. Club.
Mr. Club.
Mr. Club. Mr. Club. The intro. So the intro track of the album. We're just talking about the full album as a whole. We're not doing track by track or anything. But the intro of the album introduces the concept of each of these villains, and you might not catch it in the intro when they talk about one of them had the discs of death, tables of terror. Some call him Cutthroat. His name is Mr. Club. You might not have caught it in the first in the intro here, but the gimmick of Mr. Club is that he's the DJ.
Expect our world's demise to come in this form. It was the supervillains. One of them had discs of death, tables of terror. Some called him Cutthroat. His name is Mr.
Club. By the fifth or sixth track, you may notice that Shaggy has no verses. He merely has yelling choruses and asides, and is on the wheels of steel. He's the DJ. So in this super group, they did not have space to let Shaggy Two Dope do raps. He is the DJ.
He almost has one track.
This album should have been called "We're the Rappers, He's the DJ."
A special DJ, a skilled DJ. He likes to show off his skills.
Sure. If I was jamming, like.
And he uses a butcher knife instead of a needle for his records.
That's 90s. Get it right.
And he kills people doing it.
Yep. Okay. I'm just going to talk about the concept of the band. So the concept of the band is that they are literally supervillains, and each of them, they're like, the Legion of Doom or the Injustice League or whatever. Each of them has a very specific thing. One of them is a DJ, but so Mr. Spade, Isham, is a militant black man who is quote unquote prejudiced against all human beings. But his whole thing is like, he's militant, he uses force, he hates everyone, he's full of hate, he's full of just evilness and spite, and that's his gimmick. And Violent J is Mr. Diamond, who is rich and bejeweled and resplendent. He's a billionaire.
He's a trillionaire.
Shing!
So he uses his wealth and his opulence, and he is all about material goods, and he's basically Donald Trump, but like with a sense of style. And then Mr. Hart, Lavelle, is quote unquote the lady killer. All of his crimes are sex crimes.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's the rapist.
His gimmick is that he's a rapist. He's Johnny 23 from Con Air. All of his verses are about doing sex crimes and violent sex, and it's icky every time he's on the mic.
Yep. We had some pretty polite things to say about Lavelle. I think I did in some recent episodes.
Well, you know what? When you got a gimmick, you got to play it to the hilt. So I will say, the point of this album is to literally be villainous and to be as evil and wicked and vile as a group of people can be. And to that end, they absolutely succeed. This album does everything it's intending to do without fail. It is as a concept, it is a solid concept for what they're trying to do. They are all very good at their roles that they're playing. They all stick to the gimmick to the point of unlistenability, and they are all specifically setting out to be the most villainous personas they can conceive of and outdo one another. And with that as the mission statement, they nailed it 1000%. I can find no fault in the execution of their intent. What I can find fault in is all of the content of this album. Am I off base here? Like, I feel like, because I absolutely despise this album. I hate almost everything that they're saying, but it's like the music is solid, their ability is solid, and they absolutely do everything that they're trying to do on this album. It's just like, it's a 15-year-old album of people trying to be the edgelordiest edgelords who have ever edged, and you just can't listen to it now.
No, Bill, I think I completely agree. I think it was sounding great. Everything you were saying was sounding great to me.
Except.
No, that's it.
All right. Well, we're done here.
Well, I think the thing is, I guess what I would add to that is that it's become very clear to me, through this project, through doing these episodes, that I come to this music for, I have higher standards. I don't just listen to rap music. If I want to listen to rap music, I don't listen to ICP. I come to ICP because I want to hear a story. I want it to be funny. I want, and that's why I don't like the Psychopathic Riotous albums as much. And so this is just like a rap album. And that's just not interesting to me. Just hearing them rap about stuff. And so, some of the songs where they talk about their characters more, Violent J has a track, Hook Up the Cut.
I'm all-time motherfucking super rich, stupid bitch. Mr. Diamond with the glare of a trillionaire. I'm in the air, I see the city's on fire. People flagging me for help, but I have no desire. I'm on a carbon ice hunt. I want them all, not just the nice ones. I got some bullets for your back if you like some.
Which is basically like his solo track. Each of them kind of have their own solo tracks, right? Did I pick that up?
Yeah.
And
they do.
Yeah, and so I kind of like hearing him talk about his character and the style of the song is unique or whatever based around his character. And so some of that, those are the parts that stood out to me the most on the record. But in terms of them being, angry and just rapping and being crude and or whatever, it just sounded really, it's just like rap music. It's like, okay, you're saying something controversial or whatever. I thought of it, didn't even think it was really controversial stuff,
Yeah, I just feel like, we received an email from the homie Jiggles, and he talked about what a wasted opportunity and what a wasted talent.
Absolutely.
And I think that's totally spot on, because if this had just been a standard project, if they had decided let's just have fun with it instead of let's try and really make an evil album, I think it would have been amazing. And also if they had tweaked Mr. Hart so that it wasn't sexual violence, it was just maybe he is very popular with ladies.
Yeah,
maybe he enjoys consensual sex.
Wow.
But if they had just not specifically set out to be let's be these characters and not Isham and Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope and Lavelle, let us be these characters and have no trace of the personae via which we are normally quite well known. For Isham, it's not that big a shift, but for the others, I think it probably is. Violent J, it's hard for Violent J to not be Violent J, but they're all trying very hard to not be who they normally are and to be these supervillains. I think if they had just gone into it as let's go into a project that is this concept where we're not like beholden to it entirely. I think it could have been a lot of fun because, you know, like Violent J as the rich guy and Shaggy as the DJ and Isham as the hateful guy and Lavelle as the lady killer, you know, like it could have been fun. It could have been really hilarious with a lot of dudes very talented having a good time instead of like, I'm going to see how hardcore I can make my verse and see if I can top you on your verse, you know?
Yeah. So, a couple things that you made me think of. First is, on the Wikipedia page for the album, the first thing it says about the background is that it was recorded and planned to be released in 2003. But, well, sorry, they originally started it that early. So it was like before Wizard of the Hood, even when they were making plans for this record.
Yeah, it was in the offing for a long time. Well, because remember, so we heard the first Soopa Villainz track on the Wraith, right. Shangri-La.
Yeah, that's what I was going to point out.
And that track is great, and I love it.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Except how it ends.
And so... And I'm glad, and I just wanted to tie this to, I'm glad you mentioned the homie Jiggles, because he also emailed us about this album, and that there was, I guess, some promotion around the time of there being a Superheroes album, which was supposed to be Twisted, Blaze, and ABK. And so, I guess, I think that maybe it could have, obviously the project and could have been more, and if the Superheroes album had come out and maybe there was something going on between the two, I don't know, maybe it could have been more. But the homophobia is pretty awful, and I feel like any era, even in 2003, some of the imagery that they conjure would be considered too far, even back then. So I know earlier I said that I didn't think that it was too bad or too controversial, but there definitely is that there. So I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that.
There's a lot of really reprehensible things that they say on this album, and it's not fun to listen to, and I'm not going to listen to it again. So I'm glad this is the only Soopa Villainz album. But it's a bummer because it's like that first Soopa Villainz track we heard off of Shangri-La is like really fun and great. And it's a shame that they felt they had to like lean harder into this concept than like any of these guys has ever leaned into a concept before. And like, this is what they chose to do with it.
I'm trying to find where I read this, but that, so this album came out and it led to the split of the group, and Isham pieced out and took the masters with him, and I guess he used the masters to release a 2006 mixtape, Soopa Villainz mixtape called It Ain't Safe No More, which featured ICP diss tracks and some other stuff. But I can't remember where I read it, where it said that when the interviewer asked about it later, that Violent J or ICP said that it was really Isham who pushed all of the homophobic content, and that they felt like they just got wrapped up in the studio of trying to one up each other, and that's how it got to that point.
And apparently they did a reunion in 2019, and yeah, they did a reunion on Halloween 2019, and they claimed in 2018 that there would be a new Soopa Villainz album, but you know, we know how those announcements of Psychopathic Records releases go. So just has some distribution manufacturing issues, you know.
We just gotta hire a new engineer.
Yeah, so the bags for the the goodie bags for the October Patreon, like, we keep getting messages like, look, it's been delayed, we're sorry. And I totally buy it.
You see, the bone this time is 3 bones, and here's what they are.
I still haven't got my Brody Lee shirt I bought last week, and I paid for 3 days shipping.
Oh shit. Yeah, you should hit them up. They will make that right, I'm sure. If you.
Okay. Yeah. I saw yesterday a picture of Big E wearing that shirt. I was like, where's my shirt?
Is it the like Exalted in Heaven one or whatever?
It says Brody Lee Forever, and it's black, but like he's like kind of purple, and it says Brody Lee Forever in gold, but like it's like he's somehow like spray painted looking black or purple. I mean, it's a badass shirt. I'll take a picture of it when I get it.
Whenever that is.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you guys feel about the ICP stream moving forward? Because it seems like they're gonna do it every other month. Like you caught that they announced that they're gonna do February, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of picked it. Like it kind of seemed pretty apparent that that's what they were doing anyway. Yeah. I mean, it seems fine. Like they're putting out a shit ton of content. Like it's not like they're cheaping out on what they're putting out.
Yeah, I actually wasn't.
And if
able
you're not,
to keep
especially
up.
if you're not trying to watch it live.
Yeah.
Because I am still like not even close to through the October content. So.
I was trying to catch them all live, but it was hard to keep up in December.
Well, I was just saying like the watch live thing because they always start very late. So when you watch it after the fact, you can just skip all that bullshit.
What's wild to me is that I feel like you get so much value for the $65. Like I can't believe that all the free shit that we're supposedly someday going to get in this gift bag or whatever. So like,
no, I personally think that it's absolutely worth the money, and I'm gonna watch everything eventually. So
even December, like without the gift bag, I felt like it was definitely worth it. It was so worth it.
Is this now what we're getting the coins for? Since they had to cancel all their shows forever?
I'm sure they're going to change that, but they talked about how that was going to be altered due to COVID. So yeah, they're going to have virtual coins or whatever. I don't know. I didn't pay that close of attention because I ain't getting all those motherfuckers. But it's kind of wild. Like 30 whatever bucks a month averaged out. Like that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just saying. I don't really spend money like that, you know. Kind of cheap.
Yeah. No, I was not expecting to spend this much money, but like I have no complaints. They're making it very worth it.
Yeah, like I said,
if we eventually start receiving stuff in the mail, like even better. I was a little bit bummed at the Cool Guys virtual 5K thing that I bought from Shaggy and the Creep Show, just because like I actually do runs and I do like real life runs and I do virtual runs, so I have a medal collection. So I was like really stoked to get the Cool Guys 5K medal, but it's not a medal. It's like the size of a lapel pin, and it has like a little itty bitty little dinky ass little ring through one end. So it's like it's not even close to a medal. It's a lapel pin that has a ring that I guess you could potentially put on your keys instead of a pin on the back that you could pin to stuff. So it's actually, not only is it not a medal, it's less useful than a pin because you can't display it on anything. But the shirt's cool. I like the shirt. And I got an autographed lecture thing with both of them, so that's cool. I don't regret the purchase. It's just a bummer for me personally because I collect medals of runs that I do, and this is not a medal. But I get why. It's probably those medals probably cost a lot to produce, and maybe the plan was to do a real medal, and not enough people bought one. I don't know. They were limited though. They sold out. Whatever.
Who knows? Well, this is the new era, you guys. This is what it's going to be from now on.
This is the millennium of Aftermath. There ain't going to be nothing after that.
You said it.
Oh, okay, well, soon, Dr. Dre. Actually, you know what? Don't. Because no sympathy for Dr. Dre because of the D Marks thing.
Kid Marks thing.
Yes, Kid Marks, exactly.
Kid Rock's thing?
Talk about
what were we talking about?
Moon Glorious.
Yeah, this is actually talking about the.
Yeah, someone's busy over there in your neighborhood there, Ryan.
Vroom, vroom, vroom. That wasn't me.
They're busy. No, people drag race down my street. It's fine.
Oh.
What's wild to me is that your street is not safe to drive fast down. It's not like, I mean, it's straight.
I would argue there's no street in Glendale that's safe to drive down.
That's also true. It's a very dangerous place to drive.
I'm really excited to one day potentially move out of Glendale and see my car insurance plummet.
Right.
Just like it's going to get like hundreds of dollars cheaper a year. It's going to be great.
Oh my God! When I moved to Santa Rosa, my insurance went down.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is like this town's so laid back and everyone seems so chill, but holy crap, people drive super fast and the roads are really narrow. I'm just like, I'm like screaming as I'm driving down the street because I'm scared. We're nuts around here in the car.
Me. Yeah, drive nice and fast.
Yeah, it's just funny. You get out of the car and everyone's like, oh, how you doing? Oh, hello. And then you get in the car and everyone's like staring at you crazy and they're like riding your bumper and you're like, I'm going 35.
It's one of my favorite Goofy cartoons.
What? Goofy cartoons?
The driving episode.
Oh, yeah, just the episode.
You know, when he gets behind the wheel of the car.
Yeah. Those Goofy instructional videos are all very good. Is there anything else that you guys want to say about Soopa Villainz before we just make the rest of this episode an airing of grievances or whatever?
Well, I had a ton of notes, but you guys really hit on just about everything that I really wanted to say. I thought they teased that there would be a Heroes album on, I think maybe it was the last track or something like that. And I just thought like the whole idea would be really cool, a Heroes and Villains album. And so that was disappointing that I never reached that. But just like you said, how awful it was. If they would have, like I was thinking, God, if they would have just came with the more relaxed, funny approach of like how they approach like the Wizard of Oz, you know, or literally just did it like DC comic. You know what I mean? Like you can have your F words and kill some people, but just like, I don't know, it just didn't have to be so ridiculous. My notes was they really missed out on an awesome opportunity. And
absolutely.
And even with Isham being Mr. Spade, he says some pretty like some of those lyrics are kind of important about, you know, not important. I don't know how to say it, but like he's a black man and he's saying things about killing white people and white cops in a way that like it could have been a good protest, like, and an impactful song. And then he has to turn around and say what like white racists say, I hate everyone. It's like, you kind of ruined that trajectory that you had. You could have like made some statements and, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like they had these avenues to do something. And I have to say there's a lot of music on this album that's really good. And there's a lot of flows on this album where they just nail it. And it's just awful, and you can't like it, and it was super frustrating.
Yeah, one thing that keeps like tickling the back of my mind about Isham's character is like whether he's taking shots at like immortal technique, you know, like whether he thinks because I don't listen to enough of Isham because like a lot of what Mr. Spade says like doesn't seem that far off from Isham, but also like given like the very little that we listened to Isham, like maybe Isham thinks like political and militant rappers are stupid. Like maybe he thinks it's dumb to like have your whole rap persona tied up in like being militant and outspoken. Like, Ryan, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I don't know, man. Yeah, I haven't thought about it that way. So it's just kind of absorbing it. But just immediately
like when they said like he's the militant rapper or whatever, like just the very first thing that popped into my head was immortal technique, you know?
Yeah. See, I think that's really interesting, and I want to think about it more. My immediate read was that he was embracing the myth, you know, of the black, whatever, you know, and and being subversive about it. Which I agree with Steve is an interesting thing. And so it's I hadn't thought about it that way.
It's just like I think that your read is absolutely right, and I think that is the read. But I wonder if on some level he's like giving people who actually like live and die off of like political rap and like militant rap, like if he's like giving them shit for being that way, you know.
He could be. Did you feel so much so that like
because of all of the personae on this album and all of the characters, the 4 characters, like his character is like the one that actually exists, the militant rapper. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I think that he probably, I'm just gonna make a bunch of assumptions, right? I'm just gonna give you my read. Sure. The one that I think makes logical sense to me. They're having this idea, they're all gonna be these characters. This is the one that Isham wants to be. He wants to do this like Black Panther, militant, whatever. That's the villain, because white society, white supremacy views that as the villain. So he's gonna embrace that. But then they're like, that's whack, that's cool. You're not a villain, you're cool. And he's like, oh, okay, so I guess I hate everybody, so I gotta throw in a bunch of controversial shit.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me a villain. Because when you listen to, if you look at Black Plague,
voices spread all in your head, screaming at once, telling you that you're dead. No, the world ain't prepared for the fire and flare. Bubonic, demonic, black smoke fills the air. Black Plague, you screaming, you beg for mercy. No way to reason with a shark when he bloodthirsty. The Black Plague.
Black Plague was one of the few where I make a note. I'm like, is it okay to like this one? Like, do I have to?
I like this song with a question mark.
Do I have to pick through every line and reference and see if there's anything that's objectionable in here? It's like, or can I say like, I actually like this one?
Yeah, that's so funny. God damn, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. All right, we can all say we like that one.
There was a run for me. So what? Into I Shot the DJ. I think I Shot the DJ might be my favorite song on the record. And then Hook Up the Cut, Violent J's. And so that's the thing. Here's the thing. We all know what Violent J and the Bruce Brothers and Shaggy think of rich people and where they hold them in their esteem,
Yeah.
And so that has to give us a little bit of a lens for what they think they're trying to do. It's obviously fair to criticize them for what they've got here, But I think that they're trying. It's exactly like you said, Bill. They have a vision of something, and they're trying to fulfill that vision as best that they can.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I disliked this album this time through for completely different reasons than why I disliked it the first time I have, because I actually own this album.
Right.
So.
I think I own it somewhere too.
I think the music and a lot of the flows had some really good stuff. I think every chorus on every song fucking sucks on this album. It's par for course.
They're pretty bad.
But I just have notes on each song, and some of them are just like, damn, this song hits hard in the beginning.
I wonder if every track on this album, they just got Shaggy's chorus done first. He's like, hey, dog, what's this song called? And they're like, oh, this one's List of Demands. It's about the demands we're going to make. All right, while you guys write your verses, I'm going to go in and drop the chorus. And he just goes there. He's like, List of Demands!
Meet the demands of the List of Demands.
Yeah. What's this one called? Furious. It's about how we're angry. All right. Furious!
Okay, but you guys reminded me we were talking about the streams also. So there was the stream that they did where we all got to pick the songs, and they made it into like blocks, right? And so you first pick the beat, and then you pick the style of rap, and then you pick the content or whatever that's going to be about. And it really gave you a lot of insight into how ICP do their songwriting processes. And there it revealed, because I felt like it really, when Violent J was talking about the Blob, so that was one of the ones that the Juggalos ended up picking was for them to do a song about the Blob. And Violent J kept saying, like, picture it like the Blob, the Blob. And it's like, that's how he's going to build that song. He's going to dive into an image that he has, some recollection of something that he thought about as a child or whatever it is, and he's going to draw everything that he can out from it. And so that's how I felt like when they do the van. It's just like the Blob, it's the van. So they're like, we got to do this out, we got to do this record, so we're going to pick these different concepts and build them up, and so I felt like I had a little bit of insight into this album because of having observed that stream, and that kind of made it a little better. Something nice.
Yeah.
I had a funny experience in the song "Guided Missile." I used to work with this fellow.
The Guided Missile's his dick. What?
I used to work with this fellow, and he's an autistic fellow, and he had a pretty limited vocabulary, and so when he would really get upset about stuff, he didn't swear at all, but he'd go shoot when he was really upset. And so when this song came on, and then they get to the chorus, and they're all shoot, I was like, oh man! And I started thinking about that guy, and I was like, I miss that guy. Whatever he's doing, but yeah, it cracked me up.
That chorus has got awful, man.
Oh, it is. It is. It's just.
That's the only note I made on that.
Brought back some great memory.
Yeah. Locked and loaded. Shoot.
Enforced with diamond crystals, shooting out an iced out pistol, shiny, but I'm hard to hit.
Explosion fire.
This fucking album's so stupid. I just wish this album was something else. You know, not like I wish we were listening to something else, which is true, but like I just wish they had not done this specific thing with this album and had instead had a good time and had fun.
Yeah, made it a comic book album instead of a gangster rap album.
That's fucking great. Because like I mean, especially like right now in 2020, listening to this week, like. We got enough supervillains, man. Let's fucking comic book it up a little bit. Like, I had notes right now.
Well, they had a line, I think, in the last song, "It's Over," where it says "Supervillain's a new political party," and I was like, "Oh man, I put Trump GOP." That's like 10 years before he did it.
Yeah. Well, GOP has been a.
Oh, I know GOP's been around, but I meant Trump's GOP's whatever.
Yeah. It's rough. It's rough. So it is a little bit surprising that Magic Ninja Entertainment has not like signed Isham and Lavelle and done like
super duper villains,
mega baddies or
baddies.
not to give him any shit, but like for real, like it's surprising they haven't done that. Like
you were correct, Bill, about the $17 fee for the live stream.
Let's talk about that because that's a text conversation we had. So drop that a little bit, Ryan. Give the context.
So it was Attack of the Ninjas. They had dueling streams actually. Twisted planned a concert, which I didn't see, but I read about it from Twisted History from following him on Twitter. They put out a full concert, basically the whole lineup of MNE, and did a mix live and pre-recorded performance. And the live stream, they charged $17 for the concert.
So Ryan was telling us about it. I was like, I heard good things. They're like going to do it. You're saying they're going to do it again, right? Or something?
You could repurchase it over the weekend. I don't know if you could still download it or whatever.
But Ryan was like, "Oh, I'm tempted to check it out. It's only $17." And I was like, "Fuck out of here, dude!" Like I feel for these dudes, but they fucking do it to themselves, man. Like, they really do it to themselves. Because it's like, fuck, dude, how are you going to complain up and down all day long that it's like, we don't want to be in their shadow. We want to climb out of their shadow. We want to climb above and do our own thing for a different set of juggalos or for all juggalos or whatever. But like have our own fans and do our own thing and be respected on our own. Like how are you going to go so hard behind like we deserve our own respect separate from anyone else, and we're going to form our own legacy. And then the price you charge for your shit featuring all the dudes who used to be on the other label and charge the amount that is the number that is most synonymous with the other guys. Like, how are you going to do that? Like, how are we supposed to take you seriously? You know? That was just me.
You know what's interesting, Bill, is like these guys are in their mid-40s. They're like almost 50 years old. And, you know, I get it. I guess like personal, you know, it's their art or something like that. But also the tinfoil hat. No, the tinfoil hat is, does it benefit them? Do they feel like it benefits them to have this beef going in some way? I can't imagine that it's a great strategy to fabricate or, you know, maintain this beef. But diss tracks sell, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And I just gotta believe that somewhere around the bend, because diss tracks sell and beefs, they sell records, but so do reunions. Reunions sell a lot of records too.
I think the odds of these people never collaborating again are exactly the same as the odds of them collaborating again.
I mean, they're all a bunch of wrestling people, right? Who fucking knows how they really feel about each other?
Yeah. Yes, of course that is 50-50, but you know what I mean. Like, I would be equally as not surprised either way. Is that a better way of putting it? I was being big.
What the H?
What the H is that? You remember that? You brought a big gun. I said, what the H is that for? And you said, I heard the Bears were playing the Lions.
There'll be enough of that.
He has the grace of a swan, the wisdom of an eagle. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is for the birds. And yeah.
How have we gone this long on this album?
Kristen recently rewatched the Norm Macdonald on Conan while Conan's trying to interview Courtney Thorne Smith. and like I was such a Norm Macdonald fan that I watched it at the time the night it aired. So I've like, she had seen it before. Like we all already know it's one of the greatest talk show interviews of all time, but it still holds up. It still really holds up. Hey, a movie with Carrot Top, what's it called? It's called Box Office Poison. Conan yelling at him, she's in the movie.
She's in
well, that was nice. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for telling Norm Macdonald's jokes.
There were laughs for us, if not for you, the listener. We really hope that by the time you're listening to this episode that the world is a little bit better. Let's talk about your assignment for next week, unless there are final thoughts on Soopa Villainz.
Yeah, no, let's move on to something better.
Mega Baddies. So the next time we get together, we're going to be doing all of Pony Down, which is the debut EP from Drive By, or at least the debut EP on Psychopathic Records by Drive By, which is the duo of Blaze, You Dead Homie, and Anybody Killa, a real double threat. It's a term that Ryan's not familiar with. So that's what we'll listen to next time. Pony Down, the whole EP. We can't imagine we'll like it less than this album. But you never know. Maybe the whole thing's just slurs.
Hose.
Slurs toe to tip. Just. Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. Next week, Drive By, and hopefully our country will be in a tiny bit better place. Send us an email at dimcarnival@gmail.com. Leave us a review on iTunes. Check us out on Twitter and Instagram at dimcarnival. There's always great stuff from Ryan up there. And check out what he's been doing on YouTube. Good stuff always. And maybe we've got some surprises for you in the new year. One thing is for sure, we're going to get back to some stuff we like listening to, and that's a promise. Or maybe it's just something we assume, but because there's ICP stuff coming up soon. But yeah, we will talk to you next week. Until then, I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
Don't go into Capitol buildings. Just unless you're on a tour, just stop. Don't go in and pee and take some mail and shit.
If there's a barricade, it's not open to the public.
Ooh. Even if the cops let you in.
Shit.